This wasn't about standing out. It was about being visible at all. The first week, taught by Suryansh, covered personal branding, specifically on LinkedIn. And the assignment was quite simple. 7 days, 1 post a day. And of course, I completed it. But did I stop there? Of course not. 7 then became 17, didn't stop at 18, didn't stop at 19, but that is where I pushed the brakes. Because I realized something. Consistency compounds. And when the essence of what you're trying to build isn't ready, you're compounding noise. And at first, it wasn't really about reach or growth. It was about testing the platform, testing myself. I posted everything. What I didn't know, what I knew, what I was thinking, what I was unsure of, all of it. And behind the scenes, I treated LinkedIn like a lab. I planned, I observed, and I experimented. I designed every visual myself in Canva, more carefully than I probably needed to. And consistency, well, that came fast, but clarity didn't. And posting every day did not solve the problem. In fact, it exposed it. Consistency is ruthless like that. So I started asking myself a different question. Not, what should I post next? But rather, what am I actually building here? And that's when I stepped beyond the assignment. I didn't create content anymore. I created structure. A personal branding guide. Not to share, but to understand myself. And that's when it clicked. This was never really about LinkedIn. It's about realizing that assignments aren't limits. They're signals. And this was the first one. Week 2 was about building a website using AI. This wasn't unfamiliar territory for me. I already knew that you could use AI to create layouts, copy, and even code. What I hadn't felt before was the need to use it. And this assignment gave me that excuse and the constraint to finally try it. I experimented with multiple AI-generated outputs and AI tools. But honestly, none of them felt right. So I did what I always end up doing. Exported the code, opened VS Code, and rebuilt almost the entire thing myself. Not because AI failed, but because as a creative person, I need that control. And that friction was the lesson. I realized that the problem wasn't the AI's capability, but rather it was the relationship. True leverage doesn't come from letting AI decide. It comes from directing it precisely. And that's when the idea of symbiosis became clear. This new experience reframed prompt engineering for me. Not as how do I get AI to do the work for me, but as how do I communicate my intent so clearly that AI becomes an extension of my thinking. The quality of the output wasn't limited by the model itself. It was limited by my prompts, my specificity, and my ability to articulate what I wanted. Week 3 was different. It was about design thinking, and by far my most favorite one. And naturally, it was the only one that I missed. I was there for every other class, end to end. And this one, I watched as a recording. And yet it stayed with me the longest. Design thinking wasn't exactly a new term, but this wasn't presented as a buzzword. There were no rushed solutions, no obsession with tools. It was about something quieter. How you approach a problem before you try to solve it. That mattered to me because it mirrored how I already think, but gave it structure. One idea kept repeating. Good solutions don't come from intelligence alone, they come from empathy. The first problem you see is rarely the real one. And rushing to execution is often just avoiding thinking. Design wasn't just visual, it was everywhere. In how you frame a question, in how you articulate a thought, in how you design a prompt for AI, a study session, a strategy, even a decision. Everything meaningful is designed, whether you're aware of it or not. This week's assignment was about creating a presentation based on interviews that we were supposed to have with over 5 delivery partners of any delivery company. I chose Swiggy for this assignment and I spoke to almost 10 partners, and design thinking again came to my aid, where I had to design the specific questions in order to get the right response from them. And because I could not directly ask the questions, a lot of things I had to ask them indirectly in order for them to realize that these things were actually issues for which I could later come back and create the solutions for. And this time I did not really stick with the UI or the actual design of the app itself. I did not create a prototype. And that was an intentional choice because I had to separate the idea of design from the visual, to take it away from the stereotype in order to maximize the impact this assignment can have on me. The fourth and final assignment was about leveraging AI for content creation. Now, I've already explored a lot of AI tools, but this assignment made me think more seriously about how AI fits in creative work. I generated AI visuals and video outputs, but technically, yeah, they did work. Creatively, something was missing. It wasn't broken, it was just disconnected. Part of that probably arises from my inclination towards filmmaking. I really care about performance, emotion, and intent, all the things that AI currently struggles with. And that doesn't mean AI and filmmaking shouldn't mix. I actually think that the future is AI integration, not replacement though. See, real humans performing, and then AI enhancing the art, much like how motion capture or VFX does currently. And where AI shines right now is under constraints. When the time is limited, when consistency matters more than perfection. In those moments, AI isn't a shortcut, it's leverage. This assignment taught me something very simple yet important. AI scales whatever you give it. If your intent is vague, your output is going to be even more generic. But if your intent is clear and human, that unlocks the power that AI truly holds. The future isn't about AI versus humans. It's humans who know when to use AI and when not to. And the final fifth session was a little bonus one. We didn't have any official assignments for this, but of course I wanted to try it out. So we learned how to create the Google Dino game using Unity. So while discussing, the instructor, he mentioned how people initially would have invented coding, how they would have invented the environment within which a game operates that kind of mimics the real world physics. such as gravity, motion, collisions, and all of that. And that was really fascinating for me. So I tried something different. Instead of using Unity, I went back to VS Code. Of course, you know I love it by now. And I built a simple version myself. It wasn't a dinosaur, it was just a jumping box. But I really enjoyed exploring and learning how each and every part worked and how each function was crafted. I even got to create functions of my own as well. So it was really fun to figure that out and to, take your time and actually understand coding. And that's when something hit me. It was that playing was so important. I had basically forgotten how to play. Playing matters, not playing for results, not playing for optimizing learning. No, that kind of just kills the purpose. Just playing because that's where curiosity leads. Every outcome that you admire, every successful project, is built on things that happened before it actually mattered. Experiments, messing around, trying things that didn't need to work. If you don't allow yourself that phase, you miss the real learning. So, play. Allow yourself to play as freely as possible, as much as you possibly can. Just allow yourself to do it. And I promise that I will strive to do the same as well, because that is where the real growth happens.